What is up, everybody? This is TPL Live. Today, we have feedback happening. Someone mute. Someone mute. Today, we are doing a Sixers season preview of Joel Embiid. But before we introduce our guest today and get this show started, we're going to get some things out of the way. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel. React to our comments and our reactions in that comment section. Do you agree or disagree about our Embiid takeaways? We want to hear your voice. Next up, right after this show, around 3:45, we're going to do our Eagles versus Saints watch party. 3:45 East Coast time. There's nothing more painful than watching the Eagles, and I promise you guys, if you join us, we're going to do some Eagles trivia. You're going to laugh. You're going to have a lot more fun than just watching the game by yourself. So let's get this show rolling. Today we are breaking down Joel Embiid, grading his performance last season. We're going to discuss some areas that he needs to improve upon and our season expectations for 2021. Joining us today is my man Krell. You know him on Twitter at Krell, NBA Krell. What's up, Austin? You're muted.
There we go. I hit the button once and it didn't unmute, so forgive me. Not much. Just always, always a new story. So getting ready, gearing up for the season, pestering Jason for the credential every other day. As usual.
Jason's muted too. All right. Also joining us today is my man Jason, Jay Blevins NBA. What's up, Jason? You're good.
You're good.
Okay. Also joining us today is my
man of many words.
We're good.
This morning, so
the audio, man. The audio.
Apologize.
Yeah. Audio is a little brutal on your end, Jason. You might want to
doing great. We're all doing a great job.
Yeah. Welcome to Sunday mornings, Jesus. All right. Also joining us is Tiago at T Scabia. What's up, Tiago?
What's up, man? I'm excited. NBA's back. I watched a little bit of the Knicks. Watched Obi Toppin. Started scrubbing all my tweets away. So
we'll see. I mean, yeah. You go back. How good did Jahlil Okafor look like in that, against that game? Remember, he looked terrific.
Like Tiago's getting all upset because we had a good game against the fucking Detroit Pistons. I mean,
hey man, there's a lot of receipts out there about Obi Toppin. So
sure, by all three of us here. Yeah. And then we got Justin. What's up, Justin?
Yo, how's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Today, Jason, can you hear us?
Again.
Okay.
How do I sound? Still bad?
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Sounds good. Jason's going to come back. Let's start talking about and grading Joel Embiid's 2019-2020 season. On the surface, I think Embiid had a strong season. He was named starter for the All-Star game, 3 straight seasons, 23-plus points, nearly 12 boards a game, 3.1 assists per game. However, if you take a deeper look at the numbers, that's where the discussion truly begins. Chemistry issues, lack of aggression, lack of development really took center stage for Joel Embiid last year. His scoring average dropped from 27.5 to 23 last season. And unfortunately, that was not the only thing that dropped. We're talking about Joel Embiid's affect. You talk about Joel Embiid's joy for being on the court. There is no doubt that Joel Embiid is at his best when this guy's out there setting the tone. He's aggressive in the paint. He's trolling others. He's having fun. When you look back at 2019, 2020, there were stretches where Joel Embiid just looked checked out. This guy looked like he was going through the motions. Listen, Joel Embiid is terrific. He's easily one of the top talents in the NBA by far, but that inconsistent effort is really what continues to be that elephant in the room. And I think we're going to be talking about that a lot tonight. As great as that 49-point effort versus the Atlanta Hawks was, I can't get that image of Embiid being 1 for 9 versus the Boston Celtics in the second half. That is what I remember of Joel Embiid last year. If I had to grade him, I'd probably be around a C+. And maybe you guys can walk me off the ledge a little bit, but that was my takeaway on Joel Embiid. What about you, NBA Corral?
I would say I'd probably give him a C. And keep in mind a C rated Joel Embiid is still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still averaging over 20 wins per game last year, and his defense was fine. But he can be a lot better. I think it's a lot of it's about just being engaged. I think last year he was, he battled some emotional issues with having to care, with the pressure of Brett Brown, and then not having his friends on the team and feeling like maybe the team wasn't built for him, which is a big deal. I think this year they're better off for it.
We have Vasilios joining. Let's go. Quill says, "Ayo." Let's hope the Birds lose today. Amen. 3:45. We're going to be doing an Eagles versus Saints watch party. And then Vasilios says B+. What about you, Tiago? How would you grade Joel Embiid last year?
Yeah, I'd like to take a season as like two separate steps. I think that for the first part of the season, you could really tell that it was taking a toll on him. The roster makeup, the physical pounding, the attention that it was getting in the post, all that was really wearing on him, and it showed on his play. So if you look at his pre-All-Star numbers, I just pulled it up here real quick. So pre-All-Star, 58% true shooting, 32% usage, 22 points a game on 30 minutes a game. So, it wasn't the Embiid that we are accustomed to watching. And I thought that in the second half of the season, in particular, like in the bubble, I thought that we got to see a little bit of that old Joel Embiid. So again, if I go back and look at his post All-Star numbers, right? So it's a sample size of about 12 games or so, 61% true shooting, 23 points a game on 26 minutes a game. So, and then 36% usage percentage. So you saw a completely different Joel Embiid at that point. And I think that's the Embiid that we have high expectations for coming into this year. So I'm hopefully optimistic about his project here moving forward.
Yeah, potassium.
Dude, Yams is one of the best has some of the best comments.
His comments are pretty funny.
Dude, he's the man. I'm assuming it's a he. If it's a she, I deeply apologize. Dustin, how would you grade Joel Embiid?
So last year, it's honestly, I think Joel felt like he had to carry a lot on him for the team in general. Being that there wasn't a lot of outside shooting that was consistent enough for him to be successful on pass outs. And you noticed it the year before that as well, when we brought in guys like Mike Muscala, Wilson Chandler, and all them, where he wouldn't pass out to them a lot of times because he didn't trust them to make the shots. So last year, I think that was kind of similar with guys like Josh Richardson and even Tobias Harris at times. So I think that made it really hard on him going through the season, where he felt like he had to do everything to make plays for the team every single time they were in the half court. So I think altogether, I would give him probably a B, because I think he did take on that as well as he could, being that this year I think it's going to be different with all the shooting we put around him. But all around, I would say B, even for him.
MP Smith 1 says, Embiid day is not today. Sunday's not for the Birds. Sunday's for Embiid. Vicilio says, do you guys agree that JoJo was the best player on this team last year? I do not agree with that. Who was it, Tiago?
For me, it was Ben Simmons. I thought that Ben Simmons took a big leap last year defensively, and parts of his offensive game started to really improve as well. So I thought without Ben Simmons, and we saw it in the playoffs, like the team really collapsed without Ben Simmons. Put him in defense.
Yam says, if we get fat and beat again, no good. We're going to talk about that. We're going to actually get into areas that he needs to improve. But before we do that, let me share my screen, guys. I have something really fun here for you. We have some numbers from my man, Brock. Follow him on Twitter at LandisBrock. Joel Embiid's career ranks. You look at that usage. All dropped from 2017 to 2019. You look at his offensive rating, was higher in 2018, but dropped career high or career low there in 2019. You look at games with post-ups, because that is what we're going to be talking about in terms of areas to improve and what his role is moving forward. 2017, 2018, 2019, look at that, 11, 28, and 12 when this guy gets 15 or more post-ups per game. And look at those points per games, man. Just absolutely outstanding. And the free throw attempts and the points. And you look at his offensive rating. In 4 games where Joel Embiid posted up 15 or more times, he posted up a 117.8 offensive rating in which the Sixers are 4-0 last season. So I think that's going to really dominate this conversation in terms of where we see Embiid moving forward and how he's going to be implemented in Doc Rivers' system. For me, areas to improve is conditioning and consistency. It's beyond obvious that this guy has potential to be a top 5 player in the NBA. When he's playing to dominate, he's getting to the free throw line all game, he's staying aggressive. It's obvious this guy is a top 5 NBA player. But you look at inconsistency. He only played in 44 of the 65 games last year due to injuries. It was also beyond clear he lost his legs during the fourth quarter of those playoffs and started settling for way too many jumpers, way too many fadeaways. Joel Embiid spent the last 4 years of his career under Brett Brown catering around his talent. And you look at 2021, I don't think we're going to see that this year. I think you're going to see, almost in contrast to that, I think we're going to see Ben Simmons being built, Doc Rivers being built around Ben Simmons. So I see Doc Rivers pushing the pace, pushing the tempo this season. And what does that mean? I think Joel Embiid needs to kind of get his ass in shape, into tip-top shape, and because more is going to be expected from this guy. From all reports, Joel Embiid is apparently in shape, but how many times have we heard that? So saying in shape, saying Joel Embiid needs to get in better shape is like yelling at the sky. It's like saying that Carson Wentz needs to stop playing hero ball, and we say it over and over and over again. And then lastly, I just want to see Joel Embiid do better at setting screens. This is an area that he has not grown in, and all signs indicate that the Sixers are going to be running more pick and roll this season. That's what I want to see. Let's go backwards, Justin. What do you want to see Joel Embiid improve upon in 2021?
Part of it is taking better shots. Honestly, I think sometimes in a game he feels like, once again, like I was saying earlier, that he feels like he almost needs to play hero ball and play as many possessions as he can. And it's like, sometimes I think he's got to learn to be able to rely on his teammates a little bit more in that case. Because I think if he learns to do that, I think he'll have more legs in the end of the game, in my opinion. What
about you, Tiago?
Yeah, so I think piggybacking on what Justin just said in terms of taking better shots, when we think about Joel Embiid, you think about a guy who settles a lot in the mid-range area, jump shots and things of that nature. I started to see a different Embiid in the bubble, particularly his ability to drive. So one dribble drive, get to the hoop and finish at the rim, scoring from that kind of situation. And I started digging into some numbers. So if I look at, again, Joel Embiid, before the bubble, let me just give me a second. So before the bubble, he shot 16% of his shots came off one dribble, and he shot about 48%. And in the bubble, it was about 26% of his shots, and he shot 61% off one dribble. So I think that's one key element for Joel Embiid, is to continue to work on that one dribble scoring and be able to get to the line. Like, there's no reason why he should not be getting to the line 10 times a game, period. Like, that should be his bare minimum. So yeah, I think those are two things that it can really help improve his shot selection this year.
I don't know what the numbers are, and of course it's a very small sample size, but I'd be really interested to look at those numbers even further against the Boston Celtics, because that's when we first started to see Joel Embiid in the pick and roll and roll to the basket. So I wonder if those are coincidental or not. I don't know.
I think the space had all to do with it. So the fact that Ben Simmons was not there helped. I think he's going to have the same type of space this year with Ben Simmons and with shooters around him. It's a question: do you want to just face up and pull up from 12 feet, or do you want to face up, take 1-2 dribbles, get to the rim and finish? And I think that's his key development point this year, I think.
All right. What about you, Austin?
So let me ask you guys this. Do you think you'd be able to tell, looking at Joel Embiid on the court, if he wasn't in shape? Do you think you'd be able to tell by looking at his body? Either way.
No.
Okay.
I feel like when he was younger, he was definitely more cut and was able to run around a lot more.
Yeah.
So that, yes, but now it's like, even last year when he came into the league again, or last year when he came back for a season, and I'm like, he still looks like kind of chubby.
Yeah,
I'm with Justin on that. I agree. His body's not the same.
So I think part of that can be part of the whole, like, he's not flying around and like being aggressive everywhere. Probably because he doesn't want to break his foot again, or probably because he wants to sort of keep himself healthy and try to mitigate the risk of injury. So I understand that. I personally, I don't believe that we're ever going to be able to like look at him and his body and really say like, oh, this guy looks in shape or doesn't look in shape. He's just not built that way. He's a padded, thick guy. That's what he is.
It's weird because he wasn't that when he first came. Well, obviously when he first came in the league, it's different. He's a young man, but like now he's grown. But like I want him to be like Dwight Howard, like be all cut up at the age 36.
I just don't think he's built that way. I don't think he'll ever look that way. And I think it's the difference between like when he was 19 versus 26. Like your body changes a lot in those years. I think one thing I would say is that like if his hands are on his knees a lot and he's like bent over when play stops, then yeah, it's probably a sign that maybe his back's hurting or he's trying to catch some wind. But I don't think the conditioning is the major thing for me. For me, it's number one going to be like identifying double teams out of the post. That's something that is going to bode well for not only him but his teammates, because it's inevitable that they're going to double team him. He's the best player. He's the most talented player on the team, biggest offensive weapon. They're going to double team him, and when they do that, he has to be able to identify that quickly, proactively, and find his shooters. That's when this team's really going to flourish. Is when the shooters are active, they're engaged, they're making shots. And then another thing I think is, I think controlling his attitude and controlling his level of engagement. I mean, he's the best. He's supposed to be the best player in the team. He is the superstar. You can't come out and be disinterested, and have it be like a on this episode of is Joel Embiid engaged or not. It has to be like on a night-to-night basis. He's locked in. That's what superstars do, and I think that's the difference between this team winning 38 games and them winning 45, 46 games this season. So
something I wanted to add on to that was like, I think Dwight Howard and Danny Green coming in here, being around all those like championship level competitors, like throughout the league, whether it's Kawhi, LeBron, Anthony Davis, all those guys, I think they're going to rub off on Joel Embiid in that and bring that intensity of saying like, listen, you gotta be this leader. If you want to lead this team to a championship, you got to do it. And I think that's going to show. Another thing I wanted to say based on what you were saying with conditioning was that I think a big reason why conditioning was such a strong point to everybody was because when he was having a hard time with that is when he had to be on the floor for so long, when we didn't have a guy like Al Horford coming in behind him or a guy like Dwight Howard coming in behind him who can legitimately take those backup defensive minutes and flourish. And so it's like now I think he's going to be able to actually like breathe a little bit throughout the game. When that second unit comes in, he doesn't have to worry about that center being in there, being a minus defender, and then him having to come back out and take over the defense again. So I think that's going to be a difference maker.
Well, let me ask you guys a question, because I do think the conditioning thing gets a little bit of a blown. I think one of the things that people don't talk about is I think that his body, in particular his knees, may be a little bit, I wouldn't say the word shot, but I think there may be some wear and tear there.
They're vulnerable.
Yeah. So when we talk about like him not running the floor, him not doing some of the things that we saw 3-4 years ago, I think it's less to do with conditioning. I think it's more to do with just the fact that his body as a whole has taken a pounding. So I think he's much more aware of that. I mean, if you think about like what he was his rookie year, he was a guy who was like jumping in the stands, doing all that kind of crazy stuff, flying for blocks. So I think he's more aware of that. But at the same time, like you can't complain about the offense being hard when you don't run on transition as well. So, if you have an opportunity to leak out with Ben Simmons and get an easy bucket, then do it. Don't sit in the post and complain about it.
All right, let's get into some comments, and then we're going to start talking about it.
One thing going off Thiago's point, like his second year, they played the game against the Thunder. It was like triple overtime, and he played like 51 minutes in that game, and he hurt his back, and he missed like the next 6 games, and they went into a slump after that. I mean, I think as a fan, you have to say like, would I rather him go all out and then have the risk of him missing 5 or 6 games every other 2-week stretch every other month, or would I rather him be a little bit lesser than but be more able to preserve himself more? And I think it's obvious you'd rather have him preserve himself.
And
And
that's
he
my thing
should.
with Joel. That's my thing with Dwight Howard as well. I think that's why it's so great to have Dwight behind him, because that's that legitimate. Like Dwight can be a legitimate defensive anchor on even on a starting roster if he needed to. I think so. Having him as a capable guy coming in behind him, it means Joel doesn't have to play as hard on the defensive end, and I just think that's great.
All right. Let's get into some comments here.
Yams
Yams gives Joel Embiid a C+ for last season. Eddie PK3 is joining. Thank you so much for joining and commenting. Do you think Simmons' new personal chef is going to be a distraction to his video gaming? I mean, these are the questions we need answers to, right, guys?
610-320975.
Whatever gets him to show up every night, man.
Will Brett Brown get a ring?
I mean, is he coaching somewhere right now? I don't think I saw him coaching anywhere.
As a head coach or assistant, he might get one as an assistant.
As an assistant, possibly.
He's that energy guy off the bench.
Nah, I don't think he's.
Oscar Lou is joining. Thank you so much, Oscar. Oh, that with the crown. That is sick. Tyrese Maxey will score 20 points against the Celtics on Tuesday. We will be live streaming during the Sixers versus Celtics on Tuesday night. So make sure you come, join the chat, react with us. It's going to be tons of fun. If Tyrese Maxey goes off for 20, that's going
to be having fun.
That shock anybody? I mean, he's going to play major minutes in the game. I mean,
Yep.
Our luck, Peyton Pritchard will go for 25, and Sixers fans will blow
I
up.
just want to be in his office. I just want to see Dakota and Paul Reed going off, because I want to see them going off in the Blue Coats this year.
Yam said, speaking of Hero Ball, did anyone read that atrocious article on the Sixers fans advocating the trade for Simmons for James Harden yesterday? It made me ill.
Listen,
I'm not touching that.
I don't want to bash Sixers sense. I did not.
No. Absolutely not. He grades Joel MPC Smith 1, grades him a D. Deficiencies in the conditioning can't be overlooked. Consistency and focus can be helped by new coaching. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about very, very soon. Joe, what's up, Joe? This is the Joe, or no, there's Brian. I'm sorry. The Joe Show on YouTube. Go subscribe. I think Embiid is a good player, but he gets hurt too much. I would have traded him.
Wow.
Absolutely not. Anybody on that?
You trading the best center in the league? Are you trade? That's the best. That's the question right there. Are you willing to trade the most talented center in the league?
No,
especially like
especially
at that. He wasn't at his peak last year. So trading him, you would trade him for like 50 cents on the dollar. There's no way to do that.
Let's not. It isn't like every year he goes down with like a new leg injury. I mean, his second year, it was that he ran into Markelle Fultz's shoulder and broke his face, which was a fluke. And then last year, his finger got ripped out of the socket, and he had to get that taken care of. I mean,
and that bothered him all year, didn't it? Didn't he have a brace on his hand for the rest of the season?
I mean, people want to throw out like injury prone. You have to understand the context of the injury. Like talk about it when it's like, okay, this is his fourth consecutive year battling a foot issue or battling a hamstring issue, like then that's injury prone. But to say like, oh, his finger got dislocated, or oh, he ran into a guy's shoulder and broke his face, like that's not the same thing.
That confused me. The same thing with Ben Simmons as well, because people like there's been like national media members that say Ben Simmons is injury prone, and I'm like, he has been one of the most consistent guys on the floor for us, maybe until last year, but like other than that, I feel like he's been very consistent.
Yeah, he's been top 5 in minutes for the last 2 years. That's
why you don't always listen to the national media.
Yeah.
Yep. Local guys know their team better than anybody.
Yep.
All right, and
then subscribe to us.
Yams with the comment of the day easily. Joel Embiid now has a Brazilian wife giving him all that starchy, yummy goodness, washing it down with Shirley Temples. I love it.
Spoken from somebody who's from Brazil. I can attest to that.
I thought that was going in a different direction. I didn't want to comment on it.
Oh, fantastic. All right, let's get into anybody else have anything they want to talk about, areas that he needs to improve on before we get into our expectations and predictions for 2021. Anybody?
Yeah, I think like one thing that concerns me is like as a 6 foot 11, whatever he is, guy. He shot below 50% from the field. I mean, he needs to refine his shot selection a little bit. I think this year that there probably is going to be an increased focus on getting him sets and plays and positioning post, and maybe in that mid-range elbow extended area. But I mean, at 47% as a 6'11" dominant center is not going to cut it.
And just one more thing, his decision making. So we talked about passing out of the double team and those things, but also being quicker, right? So optimizing the offense and just being a quicker offensive player in your decision. So if you're sitting on the ball in the post for an extra 1 or 2, 3 seconds, that can go a long way into, diminishing your shot selection in the half court. So, if it's not there, swing the ball, don't try to pound the ball into the ground for another 3 or 4 seconds. Yep. That alone will make the Sixers a better offense, I think.
I think there's a good chance that that's going to get better this year with the shooting in general. I think him having more confidence in the guys around him is going to make a big difference with that, because like I said earlier, I think a lot of the problems we've had is him feeling like he's got to do too much and feeling like he has to do everything to first make a shot, and then if he can't, then pass out. But now, being that he's going to have plus level 3-point shooters around him, you might have that confidence to throw it out to him a little earlier.
All right, let's go into 2021 expectations. Mine is not as much as, or is as much as it is for the Sixers as it is for Joel Embiid. And I'm talking about the half-court offense and how we see Joel Embiid unleashed on offense under Doc Rivers. So what do we know? We know Embiid has been utilized heavily as a post-up big. We talked to Thiago about his questionable decision-making. We know he struggles reading double teams. He's not a reliable floor spacer. So what is he? We know the Sixers' struggle in the half-court set is kind of directly related to their inability to run a functional pick-and-roll offense. The Sixers were second worst in the NBA last year, running the pick-and-roll, 13.2% of possessions. They were bottom third in the league in scoring out of the pick-and-roll, 0.85 points per possessions. We've seen the Sixers post up Embiid a ton, but correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really have that much of a sample size of Embiid rolling to the basket in a pick and roll. And we saw it during that finals. They got swept versus the Celtics in the playoffs. And wait, where we got Hurts to start the rest of the year. Okay. We will be getting into that. That's a nice little nugget that we'll be talking about during our
Wow. Interesting.
It hurts your heart.
What do you think that means for Wentz? Just a quick side note.
I think it means another 8 months of should the Eagles have kept Wentz or Foles on WIP.
I will not be listening. I will not be listening to that. Anyway, what it means is, I guess the Eagles are going full tank. I think that's really probably what it sums up. Jalen Hurts is going to be running for his life today, and it's going to be tough to watch.
Yo, I'm honestly so surprised. I thought it was going to be this week. They're going to bring him in, see what happens. If he ends up playing bad, they're going to be all right. Well, it's not it's not Carson's fault, so they just throw him back out there.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think Hurts has been killing in practice, and they're like, "Hey, man, we might have a chance with this guy"? I don't know.
Like I said, I will be tantruming if all we see is roll out. Yeah. Miles Sanders. I will 3:45 guys when we start live streaming the Eagles game. I will be livid if that play calling changes, and it will. And I'm going to be so pissed off.
All right. I'm sorry for getting us off focus. Let's get back on focus.
It just gives me so angry. All right, I'm done. All right, so now that the Sixers have better shooting, you now have a supporting role around this offense. I'm really excited to see kind of how this looks for Joel Embiid, flourishing as a screener, flourishing as a roller to the basket. We talked about that true shooting percentage, increasing that, making this guy live at the free throw line, get him close to the basket. That's my expectation for Joel Embiid. We talk about 24 points a game. If you can effectively involve Embiid in a with floor spacers in a pick and roll offense, there's no reason this guy can't average 28 to 30 points a game with just living at the free throw line 10 to at least maybe even 15 times a game. We've seen it where Joel Embiid just makes a living in the first half and then he just stops in the second half. That's my expectation. I think the pick and roll is going to be a really positive thing for Joel Embiid. Let's go to Austin. What are your season expectations for Joel Embiid?
I think he's going to get back to like 25, 26 points per game, 11, 12 boards, a block or two. But I just think it's about like he really has to start showing consistency. I mean, last season, like you had a bunch of jabroni ass fans.
What?
Jabroni.
What do they call it?
Jabroni ass fans who are like trade Embiid, this guy sucks, like yada yada yada. This year, it's about tuning all of them out because their opinions are invalid, and getting him back to what he was and figuring out how to maximize the star player. That's what it comes down to with him. And I think this is a roster that's really conducive to that. And as a result, I think he's going to get back to like 25, 26 points per game, free throw line like 8 or 9 times, and really just, balling out.
What about you, Tiago?
So my expectations for Embiid are on the other end of the court. And we think about like what he was defensively his rookie year. So blocking percentage his rookie year was 7.7%. Last year was 3.7%. And if we think about like what the Sixers defense has involved defending the pick and roll, it became very, analytics driven, meaning that they would sag and beat back, let the guy settle for a mid-range jump shot. And that was kind of the general idea of how the Sixers defend the pick and roll. It really limited his ability to defend and impact the game at a very high level. And I think that Doc is going to take a little bit of a more mixed approach and a different approach to defend the pick and roll. And I think what that means for Joel is going to be a guy who's going to be much more active defensively. He's going to have a lot more opportunities to create havoc, attack defenders and not just be a passive defender underneath the rim. So I'm looking for more activity from Embiid defensively, in particularly those block numbers, be more proactive that way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Doc brings from him on the defensive end.
Yes, sir. Justin.
Sorry, ask me the question one more time. I was making up a tweet to post.
Better not be about Jalen Hurts, man.
Wait. Dwight Howard is being sued by 2 women he hired to take care of his giant snake per TMZ.
What the hell?
Wait. Is that a metaphorical snake? Like what
I don't know. TMZ Sports are claiming at least $50,000 in unpaid wages for services rendered, including taking care of Howard's exotic snake collection.
What the hell?
What? All right. Anyway, Justin, sorry. What was your question, man?
What was your question? Is what I was asking because I was
weird
for the painted lines. I'm sorry.
What's your season expectations for Joel Embiid this year?
Expectations. My expectations are actually that he probably scores around like 24, 25 points because I think, like I said, he's going to be passing the ball out a lot more than usual. Crow, what is going on?
We've lost Austin. He's gone.
All right, Austin. Mute yourself.
Hey, man, when you bring Dwight in the picture, these things are going to happen, man.
True.
Once you open that door, it's just,
Oh, my God, he's done.
Yeah, he's
broken.
He's
broken.
Probably reading all the comments and just losing it. My God.
No, but so my expectations of Joel are that he's a little bit more, his field goal percentage goes up a little bit. I'm hoping that he's able to bang down the paint a little bit more. And that being that he's more confident to pass out, that he's not going to have to take upon himself to take those outside shots. So I think that's going to make his field goal percentage go up a little bit this year. I think his assists are going to go up as well just because of that. And Austin even cut off his camera. He must be really dying. So I think my main thing with Joel, and we've touched on it a bunch already, is I just want him to take better shots. And I think with the team that we've put around him this year, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at these numbers here. The voters say Joel Embiid will average around 24 to 26 points per game under Doc Rivers. Did the fans get it right? Did they get it wrong? What's your take, Tiago?
I think he's going to be a little bit higher than that. So I think he's going to be falling in the 27, 29 range. But let me ask you guys a question. Is there a world where the Sixers are a better team?
Yes.
In a world where Embiid scores either at or even below his career average? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but is there a world where he does that, which probably means at that point in time, Ben Simmons has taken a little leap offensively, has taken on a bigger offensive load. So perhaps in the regular season, we see a more subdued Embiid offensively.
Yeah.
But the Sixers become a better team as a function of that. So you guys think that could happen this year?
If I'm honest, I think personally I would rather that, because I think the reason why his career averages, mind you, his career average is only like 24, but like the heights of it have been like 28, 29. So like, I think best case scenario for the team in general is him having lower points per game, because I think that means he doesn't have to take as much control over it. He's not taking the burden on himself as much. And ultimately, I think that makes his career longer as well.
I agree with that. And it also, that means, like I said, Ben Simmons has taken a leap at that point. That the team can rely on him to do a lot of the scoring.
If Ben Simmons is scoring 20 points per game, and I know that's 4 points above his average right now, which is a pretty big leap. But if he can score 20 points per game on good percentages, and Joel's scoring at least like 22, that's our team. That team's
that's ideal. Yeah.
We talked about that last night. Like the question came in during our Matisse Thybulle preview, and it was, are the Sixers title contenders? And I kind of touched on that too. Like I think they're going to be in that like 4, 5, 6 range this year. But I think there is a reality where the team's offense can get more efficient. They can push the tempo more. And once they get that pick and roll down come playoff time, when half court offense is a priority, I think there is a world, assuming everyone's healthy, that the Sixers are title contenders. And that was I'm on board. I think getting Ben to become more assertive on offense and pushing that tempo and building around Ben with better spacing, I think that's the way to go and save Joel Embiid's legs for the playoffs when the real season actually really starts. Any final thoughts, guys?
Prayers to Dwight Howard and his.
It's only the beginning. I can't wait to see what's coming next.
Yeah, the Dwight Howard story was so Freudian.
Does that mean that they go and get Nerlens Noel now?
Man.
We still got some of that mid-level.
I mean, I'm down for Norvell Pella to come back, baby.
I am. I am sure that someone will ask about that today at the practice.
Is Dwight available today?
Good point. Maybe he won't. Who knows?
My goodness.
But I can't wait. I can't wait for someone to say, "We have heard about Dwight's snake."
We have heard about Dwight's very large snake. Now,
we can confirm. We can't confirm the exact size. We do know that it's over. That it's exceeding 6 feet.
And then we're gonna see it tied into somehow like Tiger King on the next season. Like Dwight Howard tied into some crazy ass Joe Exotic snake show or some shit.
My God.
All right, we are off the rails here. Let's do plugs. You're up, Boston.
I will be covering the Sixers today, so be on the lookout for those reports. I am getting back into the swing of writing about the Sixers, pretty much exclusively. So we'll have some ideas bubbling up there, and another episode of the Few to Embiid this week. So, Justin.
Go check out my Twitter at J_per_sick_Eddie. There we go. And
I'm never gonna get that right.
I'm sounding it out from here on out. Just so y'all can get it. I corrected Austin the other day. He was like, I knew it. But
I didn't know it. Yeah. I kept thinking, why are we calling him Persecute when it's clearly pronounced?
It's all right. It's all right. But so go follow me on that if you want to see. I tweet about just about anything, so come check it out if you want to. You can find me on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. I'm on here a good amount. And also go follow the Painted Lines Twitter because I tweet off that a lot.
Yes, sir. Tiago.
Yeah. God, love the Dwight comments here at the bottom. Just keep getting better and better. Yeah.
You don't want none unless you got one.
I'm still doing the rounds on the Eastern Conference, try to finish up my Bucks write up, try to understand how the Bucks are better with the moves that they've made. I don't see it, but maybe you guys see it differently than I do.
I actually don't see it much either. The only thing I see their starting guard play went up with getting Drew Holiday, but their backup guard play went way down with George Hill not being there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought George Hill out is a huge loss for them.
Yeah, and also not getting oh my goodness. I just say Bobby, but without having Bobby on the team, their 3-point shooting also went down, being that they no longer have Brogdon, obviously, because I got rid of him 2 years ago. And like who's their shooting guard this year?
Yeah, it's interesting. They've got
unless they play Holiday there.
Yeah, they got DJ Augustine. They brought in Brent Forbes. These are smaller guys, can't really play in the crunch.
Yeah. So their defense went down too on the backup spots. So it's like it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Anyways, keep on the lookout for that, and looking forward to keeping doing these profiles. And we got Tobias, Maxey, a couple other guys. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think this is what our 5th one. I think we've just did Matisse Thybulle last night. We've done Ben Simmons, Furkan. So you name it. Go check it out over at the YouTube channel. I don't know what else I could plug.
Like, subscribe. I mean,
I have no idea what else I can plug today.
That's a nice little sweater there.
It'll come to me, I'm sure. But anyway. 3:45 Eagles versus Saints watch party. Go check us out, watch us, react with us, laugh with us, cry with us, vomit with us, all the above. It is the Jalen Hurts show, so that is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot to talk. There's going to be a lot to talk about, for better or worse. So 3:45. I don't really have anything else. Go check out Austin and Tiago's work. I can't. It's mirrored. I can't figure it out. Over at thepaintlines.com, tons and tons of Sixers content at thepaintlines.com. And
I got a bone to pick with Austin's league pass.
Yeah, New Orleans was too low, man. New Orleans was too low.
I think I had Washington at like 13.
That's crazy.
And Charlotte at 18, man.
No, it's not. They're awful.
Charlotte's gonna be fun, man. You seen LaMelo play last night?
Charlotte. I put 3 playoff teams behind them.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Like those LaMelo 0 for 10 assist nights are gonna be hilarious. They're gonna be fun to watch.
Something I want to touch on quick because Jason said it yesterday. Something I want to touch on real quick because Jason said it yesterday in Matisse Thybulle's podcast is that a lot of people, our channel right now, we don't have a very high percentage of people that are have their post notifications on. And another thing we know is that a lot of people want to come on here and interact with us during these things. So if you want to know when to come on and interact with us during these videos, make sure you turn those on. You'll be able to see everything when we're coming on. Also, if you follow us on Twitter on @ThePaintedLines, we post reminders that when we're coming on, pretty much the day before at the latest. So do that. You'll be able to see when we're coming on. You can come interact with us. We have a lot of fun.
Well said, Justin. Well said. All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody here for watching. Thank you, everybody here for commenting. It was a blast. This was our Joel Embiid preview show. Tuesday night, we will be live streaming the Sixers' first preseason game. That is going to be also a freaking blast. Lots
We're getting there.
Watch. I know, it's crazy that it's right around the corner. But anyway, thank you, everybody here. For Austin, for Justin, for Tiago, for myself. Thanks for everything. Stay awesome, guys.